What does it take to create a weapon so powerful it can end a war in an instant and change the course of history forever? The Manhattan Project, a secretive and colossal World War II effort, brought together some of the brightest minds and enormous resources to build the world's first nuclear bombs. In this documentary, we'll explore the origins, the science, the people, and the lasting impact of the Manhattan Project, an endeavor that reshaped warfare, politics, and science forever. The seeds of the Manhattan Project were planted long before the United States entered World War II. The discovery of the neutron in 1932 by James Chadwick opened a new frontier in atomic physics. Unlike charged particles, neutrons could penetrate atomic nuclei without repulsion, setting the stage for nuclear reactions. Leo Szilard, a Hungarian physicist, quickly realized that neutrons could trigger a chain reaction, releasing immense energy. He patented a process envisioning this reaction, though early experiments showed it was more complicated than expected. Then, in 1938, Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann discovered nuclear fission, the splitting of uranium atoms into lighter elements, while Lise Meitner and Otto Frisch provided the theoretical explanation. This breakthrough made the idea of an atomic bomb scientifically plausible. Fears grew that Nazi Germany might develop such a bomb first, especially among scientists who had fled fascist regimes. In August 1939, Szilard and physicist Eugene Wigner drafted a letter warning President Franklin D. Roosevelt about the potential for extremely powerful bombs of a new type. Delivered by Albert Einstein's signature, the letter urged the U.S. to stockpile uranium and accelerate research. Roosevelt responded by creating an advisory committee on uranium, headed by Lyman Briggs, to investigate the possibilities. By late 1939, the committee reported that uranium could indeed be a source of bombs far more destructive than any then known. Meanwhile, in laboratories across the U.S., teams led by Enrico Fermi and Leo Szilard at Columbia University successfully created the first nuclear fission reactions in America. They built prototype nuclear reactors, or piles, but achieving a sustained chain reaction remained a challenge. In Britain, physicists Otto Frisch and Rudolf Peierls had already calculated the critical mass of uranium-235, a key isotope, to be as low as 10 kilograms, small enough to be deliverable by aircraft. Their March 1940 memorandum launched the British atomic bomb effort, the Mayhew Committee, which soon shared findings with the U.S. In 1941, President Roosevelt gave the green light to a full-scale atomic weapons program, placing it under the military's control. The Army Corps of Engineers took charge, naming the initiative the Manhattan District, after its first headquarters in New York City, though the project spanned multiple states and countries. Major General Leslie Groves was appointed to lead, tasked with managing an enormous, secretive engineering challenge. Groves' military efficiency and determination would be key in overcoming the massive logistical and scientific hurdles ahead. At the heart of the Manhattan Project were two main paths to obtaining fissile material: uranium-235 and plutonium-239. Uranium-235, a rare isotope found naturally only in trace amounts, required complex enrichment techniques. The Clinton Engineer Works in Oak Ridge, Tennessee became the hub for this work, employing massive electromagnetic and gaseous diffusion plants to separate uranium isotopes. Meanwhile, plutonium, an element not found in nature in usable quantities, had to be produced artificially in nuclear reactors. The Hanford Engineer Works in Washington State was built for this purpose, featuring the world's first industrial-scale nuclear reactors. Natural uranium was irradiated in these reactors, transmuting into plutonium-239 through a series of radioactive decays. This plutonium then had to be chemically extracted from irradiated uranium fuel rods, a complex, hazardous process. The scale of these facilities was unlike anything before, with over 80% of the Manhattan Project's cost going toward building and operating them. Designing the bombs themselves was the responsibility of the Los Alamos Laboratory in New Mexico. Led by physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, a team of scientists and engineers tackled the challenge of weaponizing these fissile materials. Two bomb designs emerged: the relatively straightforward Little Boy uranium gun-type bomb and the more complex Fat Man plutonium implosion-type bomb. Initially, the gun-type approach was favored, But in 1944 it became clear that plutonium-240 contamination made plutonium unsuitable for that method, necessitating the implosion design with explosive lenses to compress the core. On July 16, 1945, the first-ever nuclear device was detonated in the Trinity test at White Sands Proving Ground, New Mexico. The implosion-type bomb exploded with unprecedented force, confirming the viability of the design. This moment would change warfare forever. Shortly after, the United States deployed 2 bombs against Japan. Little Boy, dropped on Hiroshima on August 6th, and Fat Man, dropped on Nagasaki on August 9th. These bombings brought World War II to a swift and devastating end, but at an enormous human cost. The Manhattan Project was not only about building bombs, it also conducted intelligence operations. Operation Alsos was a secret Allied mission to investigate the German nuclear program. Teams traveled behind enemy lines, capturing nuclear materials, documents, and scientists, including Werner Heisenberg and Otto Hahn. They discovered that the German program had not advanced beyond laboratory experiments, alleviating fears of a German atomic bomb. Secrecy was paramount throughout the Manhattan Project. Major General Groves enforced strict compartmentalization. Workers knew only what was absolutely necessary for their tasks. Over 130,000 people were employed, but few understood the project's full scope. Security investigations were frequent, and breaches were severely punished. The project was called the best-kept secret of the war, with thousands working blindly on parts of the puzzle. The scale and difficulty of recruiting skilled workers were enormous. At its peak, the project employed around 129,000 people, including scientists, engineers, construction workers, military personnel, and technicians. Military programs like the Special Engineer Detachment and the Women's Army Corps provided critical technical staff. Despite the hazards of radiation and chemical exposure, the project maintained a strong safety record, earning an award for distinguished service to safety. Financially, the Manhattan Project was a massive investment. By the end of 1945, it had cost nearly $2 billion, equivalent to about $28 billion today. Most of the budget went into building and running the uranium and plutonium production plants. The wartime cost per bomb averaged around $500 million. This made it the second most expensive weapons program of the war, after the B-29 bomber. Yet the project operated largely hidden from Congress and the public, with only a handful of politicians informed. After the war, the Manhattan Project evolved. It conducted further nuclear tests, like Operation Crossroads in 1946, to study the effects of atomic bombs on naval vessels. It also laid the groundwork for civilian nuclear research, medical applications of radioisotopes, and the development of the nuclear navy. The U.S. Atomic Energy Commission took over in 1947, establishing civilian control over nuclear technology. The legacy of the Manhattan Project is vast and complex. It created a network of national laboratories that continue to lead in scientific research. It sparked the atomic age, reshaped global geopolitics, and ushered in both hope and fear about humanity's future. It also left environmental challenges like radioactive waste at Hanford that persist decades later. The project's story is a powerful reminder of the dual-edged nature of scientific progress. In the final words of General Groves, the Manhattan Project turned an impossible dream into reality. A new world shaped by atomic power. It built cities, industrial plants, and weapons that ended a war and opened vistas of a new era, one that continues to influence science, diplomacy, and security to this day. The Manhattan Project was more than a wartime effort. It was a turning point in human history. Its story is a testament to human ingenuity, ambition, and the profound responsibilities that come with wielding such power.